And I'm very excited, as you've mentioned, to hear from our guest today. Actually, introducing him as a guest is not quite right, as he is also our past PMAP president. So he's no stranger to any of our programs, be it People Manager on Cam or, of course, our PMAP awards. But to introduce him fully, our guest today is a senior executive in human resources, communications, and public and corporate relations with various companies across industries, including postings overseas in his more than 40 years of active employment. He is a former board member of Republic Cement and Lafarge Cement Services Incorporated and various other Lafarge associated companies. He is also the former president of Fortune Cement Incorporated and Continental Operating Corporation. He is currently the principal and owner of E4V Enterprises and a board member and consultant at Lorem Ipsum Communications. Ladies and gentlemen, our PMAP president in 1995 and People Manager of the Year in 2005. He is also the PMAP Foundation Treasurer and PMAP Society of Fellows Vice President. Now, our fellow practitioners in human resources and people management, we have today our segment. In our segment, PP Ed Soriano. Good afternoon, PP Ed.
Magandang hapon. Good afternoon, Lawrence. It's a pleasure to be here.
There you go. Thank you so much for gracing our segment this afternoon, PP Ed. Now, perhaps, PPEd, I could get straight to our first question because I know that
Sure.
there's a lot for us to talk about regarding the PMAP Awards. So the first question
Yeah.
that we have prepared for you, PPEd, is that the PMAP Awards have been recognizing the outstanding works and practices of different companies in the industry for several years now. And I know that you've been judging the PMAP Awards for also a couple of years now. And the question, PPEd, is that as a past president of PMAP and as a judge as well, what have we seen as the major impacts of this recognition to our local organizations and institutions?
Okay. Maybe I should start with the winners first, no? How it impacts them.
Please
Siyempre,
do, PPEd.
yung winner, for him, for the company, it's a validation that they're actually doing very well. And it's not just very well, but they're actually doing better than all the rest and not higher than the rest. So it's a source of pride for these companies because then they know that whatever they invested in for the people in the organization has been recognized and then now being awarded. And it's not only the companies that are winning here, but also the people in those companies. Sa kanila, it's also an affirmation that they are in a safe place, that actually they're in a company that they should be and then shouldn't be thinking about going into other places because the company is able to provide for them a wonderful employee experience. And that is enough for them to be inspired, to be motivated, to be engaged, so that then they can continue working for the company and the company continues to also prosper. So magandang results for the winners, both for the employees and for the company. No? And now for the others that are witnessing these awards, so the other companies that are not yet awardees but could be potential awardees. So they may be looking at an opportunity if they have the same programs, for example. Because ito naman halos lahat ng companies, they have the same programs. Lahat tayo, di ba? Except that for the winners, it's more unique, it's more trailblazing, it's different, it's special in many ways, no? So for these companies who are looking at the awardees, they are probably thinking about two things. One is if they don't have it, to replicate the programs because they're valuable. Or if they have the programs, to find ways to improve on the programs. Or to make them better, to make them more responsive. Diba? And the other thing is, in all doing this, and I'm sure a lot of the companies will also want to aspire the same way, is to prepare to become an employer of the year at some point or other, or to get their programs recognized, or their HR or people manager to be awarded as people manager of the year. So this is how the awards is impacting everyone.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing your thoughts here, PP Ed. No, so validation for the companies who won the awards, and at the same time reaffirmation for the stakeholders, specifically for the employees. No, that they're in the right hands. No, that they are employed in the right companies and organizations. So thank you for sharing that, PP Ed. No, and very exciting to see, no, and to hear from our winners. No, just earlier coming from RCBC, and then the next two segments we're going to be hearing more from them. Now, focusing now, PP Ed, on the impact of the PMAP awards, no, specifically to the people management, no, or to people management as a practice, given that, of course, as human resources practitioners, both you and I, and a good majority of our listeners, no, would you be able to share, PP Ed, in your years of seeing awardees and handing out awards in this particular matter, some of the most memorable initiatives that really impacted shareholders? Something that's really memorable to you as a judge or as a human resources practitioner.
Again, I will look at, well, before I talk to about the human resource practice, no, uh, I'd like to say that siguro yung awards is parang it seals the practice. You know, if we take the functions, for example, recruitment, people development, compensation, employee relations, etc. Parang the awards and recognition is across, runs across. So if you're doing very well in each of them, that is the reward, that's the recognition. It seals the good practice that you're actually doing. And what that does is uh, it increases or it raises the level of self-confidence. And so you continue to do the practice or improve on it. Second, again, it provides for the stakeholders, especially employees, a positive employee experience. Third, it allows the continuance of innovation, creativity, so that you can sustain the program and it becomes better each time. So you raise the notch higher. So then, even for the same programs, for the same application in the same company, you see something happening every time. And if you put in the element of recognition and reward there for whoever are preparing it, which is HR or some other units, and the people who are receiving it, who are responding positively, then the experience for everyone becomes positive and wonderful. And this is the impact of reward to the practice of HR and for those who benefit from the HR practice.
Mm-hmm. All right. And I've taken note of what you said, PP Ed, no? It seals the good practice, no? And of course, it's going to be imperative to us, no? The People Management Association of the Philippines to be able to recognize that, no? And be able to, like, again, validate to the organizations, no? That you're the leading edge and that the other organizations might look up to the way that you did, no? Kasi as you've mentioned nga rin kanina, lahat naman tayo may compen for example. We all have employee engagement, no? But in terms of the execution, no? In terms of the impact, no? Being able to recognize them, as you've mentioned, is critical in sealing the good practice. Now,
Yes.
PP Ed, a good follow-up question to this one, no? Meron ba mga tumatak sa'yo na ano, na mga initiatives, no, in the past years that you would want to recall, no? Share some anecdotes, no? Not necessarily the name of the company, no, but perhaps an award, someone, no, an organization or a person, no, na yung story niya is really something na nag-iwan sa'yo ng mark.
Sige. Actually, you know, Lawrence, ako perennial judge ako eh. So I've been a judge in many years I couldn't remember. And I've sat in not
Mhm.
only in Employer of the Year, but also in People Management and Programs of the Year, no? So,
Mhm.
I mean, if we're talking about all these experiences, ang dami.
Yes,
So
yes.
I could
Mhm.
compile them in a book. But
Mhm.
tama. So I'll just go to the recent ones. Kasi siyempre, madaling ma-recall, di ba?
Mhm.
So one company, and this is related to the pandemic. So I guess every one of us, if we are working, we know that the companies we work for and all the others, they tried their best given the limited resources because everybody is concerned for the welfare and safety of their
Mhm.
people. No? So hindi lang yung mga tao nila, but their families. But this company did one step higher, did one notch higher na naman, no? Kaya nanalo to eh. That's why I remember it. Bukod sa ginawa niya lahat itong mga ito, may ginawa pa siyang iba eh. Binahay niya yung lahat ng mga empleyado.
Mm-hmm.
They got apartments and houses which are adjacent to the plant, and they put all the production workers there. So they all they did was to cross the street to go to work, and then cross the street back to go home. And they were provided all their meals, of course. On the other hand, their families were taken care of. So they were safe and they were, so isa yun. Pangalawa, na magandang ginawa, kasi itong kumpanya to meron siyang mga housing loans.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has a commitment to provide houses for their employees. So they are outstanding loans nung dumating yung pandemic. What the company did was to suspend all the amortizations of the payments during the period of the pandemic, and did not force the employees to accumulate payments and pay them all at once after the pandemic. Kung hindi, itutuloy lang. Never mind that there was a gap of 2 years or more. Diba?
Mm-hmm.
So that one. And the third one, which is more uh, important or more interesting for me, was it not only provided additional livelihood for the employees, but also the families. And not also the families, but also the neighbors. So ang ginawa ng kumpanya to, it took what was assigned to a third party as a jobbing task, yung stickering ng produkto. So they had these labels or stickers which they contracted to a third party na yung third party gumagawa. What they did during the pandemic was they assigned it to the families of the employees and to the neighbors in the community. So by that fact, they increased the source of income of the families of these workers, and they also helped the community by providing them sources of livelihood during these difficult times. So that is one that stood out
Mm-hmm.
from my memory, that it is really very interesting. Yung
Yeah,
isa,
thank you for sharing. Sige, please, prepared.
ah,
Please
it,
proceed.
yeah,
If there's still another one.
okay. So the second one is sa environment naman, sa
Mm-hmm.
environment protection. Apart from the things that we normally do as companies, planting trees, seeding, cleaning shores and riverside, beach fronts, etc. Ang ginawa nito, it set a strategy or a program where it set a target 2025 na maging zero plastics waste siya.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a considering that it is a consumer product. Yung use of plastic is it's everywhere. It's very prevalent, and to set a target for 2025 to be
Mm-hmm.
zero plastics is really a stretch, no? And not only that, it went one step further. Meron siyang material substitution target. Meron siyang packaging substitution for biodegradable use of biodegradable materials, no? For 2030.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just impressed because it's not just targeting. So it's not lip service. They're actually
Mm-hmm.
setting a date, and they're monitoring and evaluating their progress every year, and they're
Mm-hmm.
reporting it as part of the responsibility to the stakeholders,
Mm-hmm.
where or how far they are from these targets. So these
Yeah.
are
So
two classic examples.
mhm. Thank you for sharing, PPED, no, and we can actually see, no, that us recognizing these organizations, these companies, no, as we mentioned, no, they seal the good practice, and we send a message, no, to all other organizations, no, that this is what we consider, no, extraordinary in terms of efforts, in terms of initiatives, no, in making an impact to their stakeholders. So thank you for sharing that, PPED. Now, perhaps before we close our segment, no, since we still have perhaps a minute left, PPED, if you can share a message, no, to organizations that are also aspiring to be recognized, no, in the PMAP awards in the future, what would be things that they would have to do, like introspectively?
Sige. Siguro it's just a statement na yung awards is open to everybody. So it does not uh, discriminate against anyone. There might be an impression that the bigger companies, because they are bigger and they're well resourced or longer in the industry, or they have names already in the industry, that they have the advantage. They
Mhm.
haven't had the advantage. So we always tell even in the last awards, we have small, medium, and large companies. We have local, multinational. We have small revenue and big revenue companies, and small profits and big profits. Everyone is actually welcome. We don't judge on the basis of your size, the nature of your business, how old you are, what kind of impact you have created so far in the economy, etc. We judge you in terms of whether you are a good employer. And we have 6 categories that we judge you against. So for those who are all interested, please just make sure that you are ready now and then submit your applications, and we'll be very happy to welcome you.
All right, great insights as always, and as expected, PPN. Thank you so much for your time, and we hope that we could also invite you in our succeeding segments